Chapter 13. Jeremy woke up as an elbow nudged him in the ribs. For a moment he was completely thrown as he slowly sat up and found himself surrounded by bodies. What the hell? He eased himself out from under a leg or two and made his way gingerly across the room to the kitchen. Slowly the previous evening was coming back to him. He searched the debris scattered across the draining board and decided to risk a half-full pint glass to rinse under the tap. He ran the cold water and splashed his face, then filled the glass and drank like a man returning from the desert. The beginning of a headache tapped on his forehead, but he refused to acknowledge it. He had work to do. Cursing his stupidity and regretting the last 2 shots of vodka he had downed the night before, he wiped his hands on his trousers and beat a retreat from the sleeping house, closing the door quietly on gentle snores. It was still early and the sunrise was just completing a fiery red blaze across the rooftop. Crew looked almost beautiful. There had been a frost, and Jeremy shivered in his thin jacket. He quickened his pace and practically jogged to the theatre. Not great news for the headache. He arrived at the stage door, numb with cold, to discover it was locked. Of course it would be. It's 8:30 in the bloody morning, you pillock. Jeremy admonished himself. Now what? His digs were a bus ride away, and by the time he had gone home and come back again, the morning would be gone, and he had to get his script under his belt. He had arranged to meet Robert at the theatre at 11 to go through his part in A Man for All Seasons. This was to be his first decent role of the season, and Jeremy was determined that Giles would see his potential. There was so little time to rehearse that any help he could get was a bonus, and Robert's offer was a godsend. Jeremy would just have to wait until 9:30 to get into the building. When the cleaners arrived, he had no choice but to hang around outside the theatre. By the time Alice, the cleaner, arrived, he was almost frozen on the spot. Oh, Chuck, you poor thing, come on, pet. Get inside and I'll make you a cuppa. Bless your heart. Alice stopped and fussed as she led Jeremy through the foyer and upstairs to the green room, where she put the kettle on and produced a bottle of milk from her bag. Let's get the fire on and you thaw out a bit. You look terrible. Are you going down with summer? She asked. No, but I do have a bit of a hangover, admitted Jeremy. Nothing a paracetamol won't kill on. Alice laughed. Nothing changes, does it? You lot will never learn. She was busy putting tea bags in mugs. There is some bread here, still edible. Do you want me to make you some toast and marmite? It's just the ticket for a hangover. Jeremy nodded a yes and stuck his bum in front of the two-bar electric fire kindly donated by the management to keep the actors alive in the coldest months. 5 minutes later, he was finally able to feel his hands again, which were now wrapped around a mug of hot sweet tea. The cleaner brought him a plate of marmite on toast, and he almost felt human again. Thanks so much, Alice. I owe you one. Perhaps I can treat you to a Mrs. Wong special one night. How does that sound? Lovely, pet, anytime. Now I must get on. Clear this up a bit and in here where you've finished, will you? It is not my job to wash up after you mucky lot. With that admonishment, she was gone. Jeremy finished his toast and washed up his plate and mug, and the rest of the mugs strewn across the room. He then wiped down the table, emptied the ashtrays, and filled the bin with whatever he could pick up. He then made his way to the boys' dressing room, where his heart sank from one mess to another. The room was a tip. Costumes from last night were tossed over chairs. Underwear were draped over hooks, and socks scattered like confetti all over the floor. Christ, what was it with these guys? Why couldn't they just show a modicum of thought for others? Why was it commonly accepted that blokes had to live like pigs? That somehow was okay, almost mainly, in fact. The real men don't bother to tidy up. Jeremy pondered these facts as he automatically went into tidy-up mode. He could not live in chaos, and he certainly would not be able to sit here and work surrounded by the fellows actors' debris. Locating a large black bin bag, he filled it with all the dirty washing, took it down to wardrobe, and filled the 2 washing machines there. Just great doing the washing for all these lazy bastards on a Sunday morning. Jeremy then spent an hour cleaning all the dressing tables and the basins, asking himself if this was going to happen every week. Did his attention to cleanliness make him a figure of ridicule? Would he become the resident poof because he was tidy? All through drama school, Jeremy had to cope with the jibes and innuendos about his sexuality. He took it all on the chin and would even laugh about it sometimes, but deep down it niggled at him. He had never really paid much attention to his sexuality. It was not a priority for him. Only his career as an actor mattered, only his development as a performer. He had never been bothered about pulling birds when his schoolmates had discovered the joys of the opposite sex. He would rather go to the theatre and watch one of those one of his heroes, such as Peter O'Toole or David Warner. Most weekends he went to Stratford-upon-Avon, to the home of the Royal Shakespeare Company, where he sit in the gods and feed on the glorious words of the bards. His parents, who were not theatrical in any way, were rather puzzled by their son's obsession with the theatre. But to give them their due, they supported him every step of the way, and when he announced he wanted to go to drama school, they did not object. Jeremy had imagined that when he joined the ranks of the other drama students, they would all be a like mind. He was disappointed. Most of them were like every other student, there for the sex, drugs, and alcohol. Acting was a mere sideline to the main event, which was having a good time. Once again, he found himself the butt of the jokes, and everyone assumed he must be gay. Except Sally, it was her interest and dedication that drew them together as friends. Not that either of them was particularly mad on socializing, but they did form a pact and would often rehearse together. Sally possessed a kind of reserve that Jeremy could identify with. They both seemed to share the same sense of reserve about their bodies too, which somehow disappeared when they were acting. They could lose themselves in a character. When Sally had got her job at the British Drama League, she introduced Jeremy to James Langton, and he had found a place for Jeremy as well. It was a slightly strained relationship, as Jeremy suspected that James had a soft spot for him, and although he knew James Langton was married, his gut feeling was that he might as well have a penchant for young men. This instinct had taken Jeremy by surprise. Why would he think like that? Was he being naive about his own sexuality? Yet, if and when he had these thoughts, they did not linger long enough for him to really give them proper consideration. Basically, he was just not interested in anything else except acting. All this physical and emotional energy was geared to honing his skills as a performer. Everything else could take a back seat. So deep in his own thought was Jeremy that he was unaware of Robert standing in the doorway until he heard his comment. Well, well, Cinderella, you poor thing. Left to do all the housework and not a fairy godmother in sight. Allow me to wave my wand and take you away from all this drudgery. Robert had a knack of making everything he said sound boring or insulting. He didn't so much speak as drawled his comments. Oh, hi, Robert. Thanks so much for arranging to meet me. I'm sorry about this, but I just can't work in a mess. Please have a seat. Can I make you a coffee? Jeremy pulled out a chair. Oh, don't worry. On my account, I have actually just had a coffee, so not a problem. Do you want to work here or on the stage? Robert asked. Oh, well, I hadn't really thought about it. It would be great to go on stage eventually, maybe, but I think for now it would be good to just read through it, if that is okay. Jeremy suddenly felt nervous under Robert's scrutiny. Sure, no problem. Let's get down to business, the other man replied, taking off his coat and sitting down. They spent the next 2 hours going through all the scenes. Jeremy was in as rich. The character was a very intense young man who was opinionated and a little pompous. Robert talked Jeremy through the obvious pitfalls and pointed out various key moments. Jeremy listened to every word and absorbed all he could, making note as they went along for future reference. Finally, Robert sat back and lit a cigarette, saying, Well, I think we have covered just about everything you need to bring young Rich to life, don't you? Yes, thank you so much, Robert. I really appreciate this. There is so little time, as you know. I feel I can go into rehearsals tomorrow with confidence. Jeremy tidied his notes. Don't hesitate to come and ask me anything that you might discover. I am going to be around quite a lot as I'm assisting Giles on this, and we will be working together on Hamlet, which, as you probably know, is his pet project. Now shall we adjourn to the pub and warm our cockles with a pint? He rose and started to put on his coat. Oh yes, what a good idea, agreed Jeremy. The drinks are on me, and it is the least I can do to thank you for this morning. I will just remember the washing. You go ahead and order while I just pop and empty the machines. Robert burst out laughing. Oh, the glamour of it all. Showbiz, eh? He swept out and left Jeremy to his chores. Later in the pub, Robert regaled Jeremy with stories of fellow actors and various productions he had been in over the years. How did you meet Giles? Asked Jeremy. Oh, we go back a few years, replied Robert airily. We were lovers for a time. Oops, I mustn't be wicked, must I? He gave Jeremy a wink. Has he tried out his charm on you yet? Jeremy suddenly felt uncomfortable. No, why wouldn't he? He returned. Robert studied him for several minutes. No particular reason, I suppose, he mused. Of course, one should never make assumptions, but I had wondered if you're gay. Is that not the case? No, that is not that it is anyone's business, retorted Jeremy. Here we go again, he thought to himself. Why does sex always have to come into everything? Robert smiled. Now, there is no need to take umbrage. There is nothing wrong with being gay, you know. There are a lot of us about. Doesn't make one a bad person. Sorry, said Jeremy. I didn't mean any offence. It is just I find it so frustrating that everyone in this business wants to know about one's sex life. What business is it of anyone's? What difference does it make? I want to be judged on my talent, not my sexual orientation. Robert clapped his hands slowly. Bravo, well done, young man. Jeremy was not awfully sure if the other man was being sarcastic or not, so he changed the subject. Would you like another drink? He asked, rising from his seat. Thank you, but no, I must get off to my next appointment. It has been a most enlightening sojourn, dear Jeremy. You are indeed a very serious young man, and I wish you well in your search for integrity in this legal profession. Robert stood up and leaned across and kissed Jeremy on both cheeks. Never say never, he whispered in Jeremy's ear, and was gone. Jeremy sat down and finished his pint. Bloody poof. Why did they all assume he was gay? He just wasn't interested in relationships. He was completely content in himself and with his own company. Falling in love seemed fraught with danger and best left alone. Let others fall in love with him, and perfectly on stage. He would stay out of all the messy emotional stuff, but then he met the love of his life and everything changed. Chapter 14. The cast quickly learned that they had to pace themselves very carefully in order to survive the schedule. Struggling in on Monday morning after having only a few hours on Sunday to recover from Saturday's night's hangover and trying to do washing and weekly chores, plus prepare their heads for the next play, was no easy task. It was a shock to the system. When all the newcomers to the game acknowledged the fact in the pub Monday lunchtime. Bloody hell, announced Simon, taking a swig of his pint. I don't know what day it is now, let alone in 2 months' time. I can't believe I have to learn another play, and we have only done one of. Oh, what a lovely war. My brain is fried. We'll have to curb our drinking, said Pete. Either that or increase it. He laughed. Come on, Si. Don't be such a wimp. We can do it. Now, let's get the pies in. Sally was certainly struggling to get through the day. Like everyone else, she had overindulged on Saturday night and spent most of Sunday trying to get rid of a hangover. Jeremy had appeared in the afternoon wondering if she would read through the script with him. Oh my God, Jeremy, I haven't given it a thought, she wailed. Well, don't worry, it is just I worked with Robert this morning and it really helped me to go through the words with someone, he said, feeling a bit of a swat now when confronted by his friend's agonized face. No, you're right, come on, let's do it. But can I make a cup of tea, please? Sally went and put the kettle on, and then they settled down in her room to read the play. The rest of Sunday was gone in a flash, and Monday loomed. The cast had a read-through of the play and various discussion with costume and design and such like, and then Giles started to block the play. Sally was running around, organising fittings and set design meetings and making tea for all the sundry. By 5 o'clock when they broke for supper, she was exhausted, but she still had to prepare all the props for the evening show and sort out her own costume. Heather could see she was having some problems. Don't worry, Pete, you will soon get into a routine and forget how tired you are, she said kindly. It is tough, but you will need to learn to take little naps when you can. Have you finished checking the props? Sally nodded. Then go and get something to eat and try to close your eyes for 10 minutes. It will really help you, she advised. Sally thought it highly unlikely she would be able to sleep just like that, but she was starving, so she went next door to Mrs. Wong's and got some lunch, then went back to her dressing room. Sarah was there reading the play, so there was a pleasant silence. Before she knew it, Sally was asleep and only woke when Sarah shook her awake. Sally, wake up. It is nearly the half, and you will feel awful if you don't get yourself together. I thank you so much. Gosh, I can't believe I fell asleep so easily. Sally said drowsily. I'll better have a shower to wake me up. She was soon back up to speed and dressed in her opening costume, standing in the wings, waiting to raise the curtain. The show was definitely a little subdued on the second night, and Giles was less than pleased. Before starting rehearsal the next morning, he gave the company a lecture on the danger of second nights and never letting the standards drop. You have to try extra hard the second night, he pronounced. The audience have paid their money just the same as the first night audience. Why should they get second best just because you lot had too much beer and not enough sleep? I will come down hard on you if I see any more signs of slacking, understood? There was a move of yes, sir, and the cast all sat up straighter. It was going to be a tough 9 months. That afternoon, Sally rang home to check on everyone, and Dora came on to inform her that she'll be arriving next week. Oh my goodness, I haven't given you a thought, said Sally. Well, That is charming, I must say, replied Dora. Aren't you moving into our flat this weekend? I don't know, said Sally, dismayed that all this information was coming to her. Why did we agree? Honestly, I'm so sorry, said Dora. But you have no idea what it's like, what it has been like. The last few weeks, I have not had a minute to do anything else except come to work and sleep. But yes, I guess you are right. We are going to move in the second week of October, weren't we? Yes, exactly, dummy. So is this all still the plan? Asked Dora. Sally tried to think what the schedule was going to be like for this weekend. In fact, if they were going to move, it would have to be this weekend because the following one was the Great Inn when they worked all hours. Dora, listen, let me ring the landlady, Miss Morris, and see what she has in mind. It might not be possible now until the beginning of next month because I'm not sure I have the time. I'm really sorry to mess you about, she added, knowing her sister would not be pleased. You are hopeless, came the expected reproach. Why do I bother to try and support you? You are so selfish, Sally. Sally sighed and waited for a pause in the tirade. Look, I have told you, I will ring the landlady right now and do my best to sort it out. I am really sorry, Dora, but I can only do my best, so just give it a rest. Can you put Mum on the phone now, please? Sally heard a loud snort the other end of the line as the phone was banging down, and Dora shouted to their mother to come to the phone. Hello, darling, how's it going? The sound of Patricia's voice made Sally feel completely homesick. Oh, Mum, it is so good to hear your voice, she said, trying not to burst into tears. I'm so sorry about Dora, but honestly, you have no idea how hard I've been working. It is a nightmare. Don't worry, my darling, Dora will calm down. She has just got so overexcited about coming to live with you. Is it all she, it is all she talks about. I'm worried about you, though, Sally. Are you eating properly? Do you get enough sleep? She fretted. The answer is no and no, but honestly, Mum, it is fine, really. It is just shock to the system after not doing very much, and it is certainly nothing like drama school. God, we didn't know how lucky we were just playing at acting, but it's great fun, and when I'm actually performing, it is completely magical. Well, please look after yourself, dear. Is there anything you need? Asked her mother. We can send supplies with Dora, but don't worry about arranging the flat right now if you are so busy. Dora will have to be patient. No, I understand how she feels, said Sally. It is just that I have so much on my mind. It was a shock when she launched into the plan. I will ring her later, tell her when I have spoken to the landlady. Now I had better get on. Give my love to Dad and of course to you. All right, my dear. Lots of love to you and ring any time, won't you? Bye. Her mother hung up. Sally took a deep breath and went to find the number for the landlady of the flat. As it turned out, Dora was quite right, and Miss Morris, the landlady, was expecting them the coming weekend. Sally agreed she would pick up the keys during the week from the agent's office, which was only down the road from the theatre, and move in on Sunday. Sally went to find Janine and break the news of her imminent departure. Oh no, I will miss you so much. It is going to be just me and the boys all the time. I promise you will come around sometime, give me some female support, Janine pleaded. Of course I will, and you can come to me to get away from them all. Honestly though, I'm not sure I am ready for this at all. I haven't given it thought since I came up in the summer. I just hope it is all going to be okay with Dora and everything. I mean, I need to talk to Gwendolyn as well about letting my sister work in wardrobe. Will she pay her, do you think? Well, we could certainly do with some help, and if she's willing to do some laundry, etc., as well as the sewing, I'm sure Gwendolyn will find the money from somewhere. Sally went to wardrobe as soon as she got to the theatre that night for the show. As usual, Gwendolyn was surrounded by washing. Crossing her fingers, Sally reminded her about Dora. Yes, I remember Susan mentioning your sister, Gwendolyn said. I think she could be just what we need. When would she want to start? Well, we're moving into the new flat on Sunday, as could start. So she could start on Monday if you want. We have got a washing machine as well, so we could always do stuff for you at our place, Sally suggested Sally. Gwendolyn laughed. Perfect. Not sure your sister will think. Thank you for volunteering the information, but still, it sounds good to me. Thank you so much, Gwendolyn. It is very kind of you. I'll go and ring her now and tell her she is hired. Sally went down to the stage door to use the phone. Gladys was sat in front of her ever-glowing electric fire and greeting her warmly. All right, dearie. You coping with it all? I know it is hard the first few weeks adjusting to the long hours. Bless your heart. You look worn out already. When's that sister of yours turning up then? You must be psychic, Gladys. I am just about to ring her and arrange for her to arrive on Sunday when we move into our new flat. Sally pressed the button to the tinkle of coins dropping into the box. Mum, can I speak to Dora, please? Yes, it is all arranged. No, I'll manage, don't worry. Sally smiled as Gladys, who was pretending to look busy with her knitting, while eavesdropping on Sally's phone call. Sally, what's What happened? Is it okay for me to come on Sunday? Doro hardly drew breath. Yes, it is all sorted. Miss Morris is expecting us to move in then. Good job, you're on the ball, Dora. Listen, are you coming by train or is Dad bringing you? Dad has offered to drive me and I think Mum would like to come as well and see where we're going to be living. Is that okay? Dora sounded unsure. I suppose so, but the trouble is, it will be quite a rush if they want to stay for lunch because we have to move everything and unpack and I only have Sunday. Plus I will have to work on my lines. It is all a bit overwhelming really, sighed Sally. Don't you get your knickers in a twist. Sis, Mum and Dad will understand and you will be in need of a free lunch by then. We can go to the place we went to before and have our Sunday roast. Then Ma and Pa will go now. We'll go and we'll all have afternoon to sort ourselves out. Then I will make the supper while you do your lines. How's that sound? Sally could not help but think it sounded great. Perfect, she replied. You are a star, baby sister. I can't wait to see you. So you will be arriving mid-morning, do you reckon? Absolutely. See you then, sis, asked Dora, and Dora was gone. Sally had sneaky feeling her life had been taken over, but at the moment it didn't seem such a bad thing. The rest of the week was full on. As on Wednesday, they had a matinee and an evening show. Thursday, Giles finalised the cast for the next production at the musical version of Lysistra, a classic Greek comedy about women withholding their sexual favours from their husband until the latter agreed to stop going to war. Charmaine was able to take the lead of Listeria, and Sally was to understudy and also play one of the other neighbours. Plus, she had a great solo. Fortunately, it was all set on the empty stage with few props, so that was something less to concern her. However, the thought of Greek women and sexual favours was a long way from Sir Thomas More and his troubles. One thing at a time, please. Thanks for listening.